NeedyMeds users and friends. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Carla, the Director of User Engagement with NeedyMeds, and with this brief presentation, I'm going to cover everything you need to know about our diagnosis information pages. This presentation will cover what NeedyMeds is, what healthcare savings options does NeedyMeds offer, and of course, most importantly, what are diagnosis information pages and where can I find them? So let's get started with what is NeedyMeds. We are a national nonprofit founded over 2 decades ago by a retired family physician, Dr. Richard Sagel, and his friend, a medical social worker, Libby Overly. What you're looking at is our mission statement, but simply put, NeedyMeds connects people to healthcare savings, free and anonymously, through a helpline, 1-800-503-6897, and website, needymeds.org. So, how do you find healthcare savings resources on our website? Well, you simply go to needymeds.org and click on that Healthcare Savings tab. That's where a drop-down menu will appear and where you can find all of the different categories on ways to save on medications and other healthcare costs, including our prescription assistance programs and our listing of $4 generic drug discount programs. You can find the free, low-cost, and sliding scale clinic section, coupons, rebates, and more, diagnosis-based assistance programs, our COVID-19 Resource Center. You can find assistance with medical transportation costs, retreats, camps, recreational programs, and educational scholarships. You can find government programs listed by state, and of course, you can find a link to the NeedyMeds drug discount card. To learn more about each of these categories, join one of our upcoming webinars. You can register for an overview webinar on the calendar of events, which is found on the bottom right hand of our homepage, because now we're going to focus on the category that you can find in the top middle under that Healthcare Savings tab, which is our listing of diagnosis information pages. Diagnosis information pages provide educational information for those living with or caring for someone living with a specific diagnosis. They offer vetted hyperlinks for more information. Of course, the diagnosis information pages offer savings programs related to specific diagnoses, as well as additional resources. These diagnosis information pages are hosted by NeedyMeds nonprofit partners. Now, when you click on that diagnosis information pages link that you saw under that healthcare savings tab, you will wind up on this page where all of our diagnosis information pages are listed alphabetically. And as you can see, there is quite a list that continues through Z, which you can't see on this slide. So let's go ahead and click on the arthritis diagnosis information page so you can see an example. So it's easy. I've broken the arthritis diagnosis information page into 3 slides. This slide shows the top of the page. This is where you will see the partner's logo and hyperlink. Now, if there is no logo at the top, it means we don't yet have a partner. In many of the pages in which we don't yet have a partner related to that specific diagnosis, you will find a link to My Health Teams, which is another partner of NeedyMeds. As you can see, this specific page is hosted by Creaky Joints. Now, in the middle, all that text is information our partner wanted to share about the diagnosis, in this case, arthritis. And on the right-hand side, you will see that resources box. This is where you will find links our partner wanted to share and other resources we think will be a good fit for this diagnosis, such as health storylines, My Health Teams that I just mentioned a moment ago, safe needle disposal, and link to labs. And I'll talk about each of those a little bit later. The next slide shows further down the page, which is basically the middle of the page, where you can find a list of commonly prescribed medications for the diagnosis. Again, in this case, arthritis. Each drug is hyperlinked. So all you have to do is click on the drug name to see if there is a cost savings program available. If we don't have a cost savings program for for that particular common medication, this statement will appear. Be sure to check back regularly as we add and update programs very regularly. The next slide shows the bottom of the page, where users can be connected with other cost savings programs such as diagnosis-based assistance programs, camps, retreats, recreational programs, and scholarships. On many of these pages, you may also find a link to Medivizor and My Health Teams, which I know this is the third time I've mentioned it. And these are really useful. So again, later on, I will take a moment to tell you about what they are all about. Actually, let's get into that right now. So Medivizor helps patients stay up to date on clinical trials, treatment options, and research findings about their specific medical condition or diagnosis by having information relevant to their diagnosis delivered right to their inbox. My Health Teams, which I keep mentioning, creates social networks for communities of people with the same diagnosis. My Health Teams believe that when people living with the same condition are able to connect with and learn from each other, ask questions, get referrals, and share tips with other people who personally understand what it's like to face that condition, health outcomes improve. So let's talk about the other links that you can find often in those resources boxes on diagnosis-based assistance programs. You saw Health Storylines. That's a free self-care app that makes it easy for you to track and manage your healthcare conditions and the health conditions of your loved ones. It also allows you to access the NeedyMeds drug discount card and other assistance programs. Often you'll also find Safe Needle Disposal, which is a site dedicated to helping communities safely dispose of home-generated sharps and needles. Link to Labs helps you find locations for affordable blood tests with online test results. No doctor's orders needed and no insurance needed. You may also see a link to MyLinks, which is a free app that helps you manage and share all your health records from one secure location. And often you'll also find a link to BeMedWise, which is a site dedicated to the safe use, storage, and disposal of medications. So thanks so much for joining me. Hopefully I've covered what I promised, and you're all going to leave with an understanding of what our diagnosis information pages are, as well as some other helpful resources. If you do have questions, many of you have joined me on webinars before, so you know you can type in any questions you may have into that question section of your GoToWebinar control panel. And I see that many people have already taken advantage of that. But for those of you that haven't, again, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into that question section of your GoToWebinar control panel. I will do my best to get to all of those questions, but we do try to keep the question segment brief. If I don't get the chance to answer your specific question, we will follow up with you by email. But of course, you can always reach out to NeedyMeds.org or our call center if you have any questions. So let's get to those questions if you want your question answered more quickly. So let's go ahead and, as I get to those questions, leave up that call center number, which is on the bottom left, 1-800-503-6897. Of course, there's our website to the right of that, NeedyMeds.org. And at the top of this page, which again, I will leave up through as we get through some of these questions, please send us an email to our info email address, info@NeedyMeds.org. If you are interested in ordering drug discount cards, brochures, if you have any questions regarding today's webinar or information covered in it, or if you are here representing a group or organization and would like to learn more about partnering with NeedyMeds. So I'll go ahead and leave that screen up while I get to those questions. The first one is, what if there is a diagnosis I want information about, but there is not a diagnosis information page? That's a great question. So, feedback is very important to us and has been instrumental in helping us expand our website to include more and more healthcare savings and educational resources we know users will be interested in. So please leave a comment on any of our social media platforms or send an email to that email address right on your screen, which is info@needymeds.org. But also, don't forget to check back regularly because we are often updating our website with new information. So just because we don't have a diagnosis information page today for that particular diagnosis doesn't mean we won't have one in the future. And of course, don't forget to look for diagnosis related savings programs in other categories, such as diagnosis based assistance programs, coupons, rebates, and more, and government programs. And if you remember, you can find all of those under the Healthcare Savings tab. If you'd like to learn more about those other resources under the Healthcare Savings tab, please join us for one of our monthly overview webinars. You can find those, read about them, and register for them on the calendar of events on the bottom right hand of the homepage of needymeds.org. So another question is about MyLinks. Actually, it looks like we got a bunch of questions about MyLinks. So let me just speak a little bit more about what MyLinks is. MyLinks is a resource you can find on our homepage and often, as you saw, on a diagnosis information page. It's a free app. This free phone app is designed so users can gather, manage, and share all of their personal health records from one secure location. The app is fully under your control and really can make life easier. I encourage you to learn more by joining an upcoming live MyLinks webinar. Check out that calendar of events on the bottom right of our homepage, or watch a pre-recorded webinar about MyLinks, which you can find on the NeedyMeds YouTube channel. The MyLinks webinars are super helpful and brief. They're less than a half hour, so it's worth checking out. Another question coming in, how often are these pages updated? That's a great question. So diagnosis information pages are updated at least quarterly. At the end of each page, there will actually be a statement that reads, this page was last updated on January 1st, 2022, for example. We do our best to make sure these pages, like everything else on our site, is accurate and current. Thanks so much for those questions. As I said, we do try to keep the question segment brief. So for those of you that asked a question that I didn't get the chance to answer, we will follow up with you by email, but you can always reach out to our call center counselors at 1-800-503-6897. For now, thanks so much for your time and have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care.